Well, guys, it is mid-October and we need to make some tough decisions in this garden because winter is coming. But I'm going to take you on a tour first. You can see behind me, the garden is still looking lush and beautiful, and it's led to procrastination. There is so much food that still needs to come out of these gardens, but it is a good problem to have. We're going to kind of quickly whip through things. This isn't going to be too long-winded because we have some harvesting to do as well. So we're going to kind of combine it all into one video. But let's get started on these raised beds here because they are still loaded with so much food. Well, we're going to start off under our yellow beans. These beans have produced like mad for us this year and they're still going. You can see here we're getting a gorgeous fall crop of fresh eating beans, and we've already taken so many dry beans off this plant. As you can see here, we've got tons already in the bowl that we've husked. I'm not sure if husked is the right word, but anyways, we're going to go with that. And shelled. We'll go with that. But anyways, these are amazing producers for us and only on a double 4-foot trellis, which is incredible. We're definitely thinking maybe to up these next year because we really like them as a dry bean, but watch the space to see if we do that because we do grow a lot of beans. Well, we've already picked a whole bowl of our yellow pear cherry tomatoes, and now we're working on some gray sweet cherry. What you're seeing in the bucket there is stuff that I picked from volunteer plants in and around the garden. Look at this on where we actually planted our 2 plants. It is just loaded still. Everything is really starting to die back. And we've got to get these out of here or we're going to have a whackload of volunteers next year. My bowl is full and we have not even gotten half of the red cherry tomatoes off of the plant. So going to get some more bowls and keep going, but we're going to keep going with this tour for now and we'll come back to this. And in here we have those turnips. You saw us harvest the seeds off of this bed earlier this year in a video, and these are all volunteers that came from the seeds that fell out of those pods when we were harvesting them. And kale. We have kale everywhere. This is red Russian. And I believe, yes, there is some dwarf curled Scotch kale right here mixed in. This was another bed that we had planted for seed. So these are all second-year plants. And nice thing is, second-year plants grow into quite the bush. So they just keep producing. The more we pick off, the more they produce. And as I look across to the other side here where we have a similar bed, an 8-foot by 4-foot bed, you can see again, look at all that wonderful kale. And the nice thing about kale is that it's hardy in our colder temperatures. So we don't have to worry about that just yet. So definitely not pulling it out, but going to get some in the freezer anyway. And for the most part, the rest of this bed here is herbs, beets. Here you can see these are our golden beets. And then we have our sugar beets, which we're not going to be pulling those anytime soon. The sugar beets are best after frost. Look at that. That's just to give you an idea of how big these sugar beets are in here. We only have about maybe 10 beets in each bucket, but they are doing amazing. We have our parsley. Not much left of that. I've really been harvesting that hard this year. Our cylindrical beets. These have done really, really well. We've been picking. There's not too much left in this pot. And kind of last but not least in this section, we've got our celery. We have a lot of celery still. We have celery here and celery here, mixed with a little bit of catnip. This one has appeared in videos before. But look, let's see if I can get you in here. Look at that. We are definitely celery farmers this year. And that's not all the celery. Well, as you can see behind me, we haven't progressed super far on clearing out the gardens. And I know it is on our to-do list, as you've all seen in the video. That's why we document those sorts of things, because then we have that pressure. But in this garden, there is something that is still doing amazing because we've had such a fantastic fall for it. And that is our eggplants. These suckers have been booming. I mean, we've produced so many pounds into the freezer of these eggplants, not to mention eaten tons of meals with them. So that's a good thing because we were really sure that eggplants were a no, not going to do it anymore kind of thing for us. And now look at them here. Another thing that we have been doing like mad is dehydrating mint for tea over the winter. We are so fortunate to have all this mint, and all along that fence line is all mint. I've actually picked quite a bit of this mint and hung it in the barn to basically dehydrate or dry, kind of like hay for the rabbits over the winter time, because they do love the mint and it's a nice little treat in the middle of winter. Don't get me wrong, we can't actually feed them on the mint because there's not that much, but for a treat it certainly works great, and it's a great use of something that's about to die back anyways. Interestingly enough, this is the time of year when we start to have volunteers everywhere. Here's some yellow summer squash right outside the chicken coop. And outside this coop, some volunteer tomatoes. There's actually volunteer tomatoes in almost every chicken coop. No idea what kind, but maybe they'll ripen. I definitely think it's a close race between this garden behind me and all the raised beds as to which one's got the most food left in it and the most work to do. This garden here, as you can see, is full. This is our San Marzano patch. The kids actually just picked a bucket and a half off of these tomatoes just on this weekend, and they're already kind of getting a few more ripening, so we'll see. I think we're still going to get more if we don't have a frost come. And then we've got the sorghum, which you can actually see behind me. It's really doing well this year because we've had an amazing fall for growing that sort of thing. And then we have lima beans that are still to come out, all of our lettuce, and the biggest part in this garden has got to be the potatoes. The squash as well, but mostly the potatoes. So here you can see what's left of the winter squash patch. We've picked all the other varieties. This one is the Canada Crookneck. And there's still quite a few decent ones in here, and we really need to get in there and get them into a spot where they can harden off a little bit before it drops off. This garden is full of potatoes still. We have at least, I think it's 8 16-foot rows in here of russet potatoes, Yukon Gold potatoes, red skin potatoes. I could be wrong, but I think that's it. And we still have in the next garden some of our all blue potatoes to pick. So stay tuned because there will be a separate video on our potato harvest. Tomatoes are falling off as I'm talking. But let's take a look at where these potatoes are lying right now so that you can get an idea of what we still have to go. Amongst these weeds, as hard as it is to believe, there are 2 rows of Yukon Gold potatoes. From what I've dug up so far, they are gorgeous. So I'm excited to see just what we get out of here because we do love the Yukon Gold and they keep so well over the winter months. I'm just looking to see if there is any greenery left. A week or 2 ago, there was still some green, but I think it's finally all died back. And what we're looking at here is just a whole lot of weeds. And here, getting overran by our squash, is a 16-foot row of red-skinned potatoes. And these ones are actually starting to push through the ground and get exposed now that the squash is dying back. So they need to come out. I know, once again, weeds, weeds, and more weeds. But here, right, so you can see that kind of ridge there. And then there's a ridge here. And it just keeps going. There are 5 rows of russet potatoes in here. So I'm curious. I've not actually dug any of these up yet. So hopefully there's something growing well under all these weeds. We shall see. Stay tuned for that video. And again on this side, under all these weeds, is 5 rows of our red skin potatoes. They were our favorite potatoes, so we did plant a lot of them. So I'm really, really hoping for some decent results. You can see here, look at this. Look at this. Didn't even notice this before. Look at the volunteer tomatoes. I'm really, really hoping that those might be white Thomasos because we didn't plant any of those this year and we kind of missed them. So, but look at them all. Look here. There. Look at, oh no, those are looking like San Marzanos. So we're going to have a mixture here. The joys of volunteer tomatoes. But really, other than the potatoes, the tomatoes, lettuce, that sort of stuff, we've got our rutabagas still in here. The only other thing really that needs to be harvested, and we need a dry day to do it, is our dried beans. I'm standing here in front of our Cherokee Trail of Tears, which we have gotten a ton of dried beans and green beans out of these already this year. But these are so prolific, and we don't want to waste any because we love our black beans, especially canned up. Yummy. But anyways, I digress. I do like food. But these are looking amazing. They are still going strong, and I'm really, really hoping for some sunshine. As you can see today, the sunshine has left. But really hoping for a bit of sunshine to get these dried, as well as our cranberry and our zinc beans, which are still out here too. So we've gotten harvests off of them already, but we'd still like to get the rest. And here you can see our fresh lettuce just about ready for some harvesting. And that celery I was talking about earlier. More celery. It is looking incredible. And last but not least is the garden right beside the barn, which we had our summer squash here, which you can see they've died back. And we have our ones that we've saved for seeds, which we need to go collect. And there's a few Palestinian tomatoes still trying to give it a go here. So we will get those off and get them either in the freezer or use them up. And here is the remainder of our all blue potatoes. I'm almost embarrassed to show that. Let's go to the other end so I can show you how much we've harvested so far. So here you can see we have harvested about 20 feet or so, maybe a little bit more. There was 2 rows running all the way along. And that's about what we still have to go. You can see where the cutoff point was. And it all looked like that before, so we can do it. Well, I've made the decision that other than the tomatoes, the beans are the only other thing that I'm going to be harvesting today, because we still have stuff to put away from the last harvest that we did on the weekend. As you can see here, some of those tomatoes still need to be put in the freezer, since I have a 4th freezer now, eh? But we will come back with our potato harvest a little bit later. Maybe we'll get it done on the weekend. We'll see how it goes. I'm only about halfway through what's on these Nekar Gold beans. Unbelievable beans for a homestead. So definitely check out those if you're looking for some pole beans to grow next year. But we're going to get these harvested before our light fades so that we can do chores and make a wonderful dinner that's going to include beans. But I hope you enjoyed the garden tour. It's amazing what is still growing out here this time of year. I can't get over. Chris and I were just saying, actually, the amount of food that is still in the garden, and we're past the middle of October. So don't forget, like, comment, subscribe, all that other YouTube mumbo jumbo, and we'll see you on the next video.